and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks everybody for coming out on this wonderful weather night. First item is the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular council meeting. Anybody have any corrections? If not, we'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
A motion by Robin, second by Rick to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. Minutes are approved. Next up is the agenda. Is there any changes? Anything we need to add? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Robin to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. The agenda is approved. Guests in open forum, is there anybody here that would like to address the city council tonight?
You know what, I'd like to commend Roger for the job he did on the monument thing outside. That turned out really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, Roger Bagalki's with us tonight, so thanks for visiting from Arkansas. Good to see you. All right, we'll move on to committee reports, budget and finance.
Budget and Finance, we met right after council on March 18th, 2 weeks ago today. Weather was a little nicer. We had some discussion about, there's a new, in Minnesota, there's the new paid leave, kind of like paid FMLA almost, that's gonna be coming, it's gonna be coming down, I believe it's the first of the year it will start. So talking about what financial impacts that will have to us at the city here, potentially there. Of course, as is custom, the parts of the law are still vague from the state. So still kind of waiting to see what, you know, there's staff will be attending seminars and things like that to flush out some of the details on that. So also had discussion on the paid time off. We had a discussion on that as well. A little bit of an update on the 24 audit, which we will be getting a presentation to council. I believe it's is it the first Monday in May? Is that when they're gonna be here? Or presented at, I guess. I may not necessarily be here, but yep. So first Monday in May, we'll have that. The only thing to note, we talked about BCC memberships. Those continue to be at basically a record pace, higher than we have ever seen in the city here before. So, good job there. That was about it for budget and finance.
All right, any questions for Rick on budget and finance? Move on to police management.
We might as well stay with the Rick show here tonight, because I'll do the next one too. Police management, we met last Friday, March 28th, 7 a.m. We had an update on our hiring. We have a couple of part-time officers. We have one that is, he's in his training right now. And then we have another that's a little farther back in the process. Is just getting, they're finishing up the background process right now on that. So part-timers are great for when we do our staffing for, you know, we can staff with the full-timers, but anytime a full-timer has to go to court or wants, you know, take time off, things like that, that's where the part-timers are able to fill in there. So it's a very vital piece. A little bit of an update on the building update, which we will hear in a minute here. And then just a little bit of an update on the chief's hiring process, which will be, I believe that closed last night. So the applications did, actually I know it did. So that's about it there. Calls were pretty steady. They're a little bit, last year they were a little slower. They're a little higher than last year, but probably more on pace with 2 years ago. So that's what I got for that.
All right, any questions for Rick on police management? If not, we'll move on to planning commission.
Planning commission, we met just last night. we had a guest and open forum speaker, and that was a husband and wife that came in and they talked about a ordinance proposal about backyard chickens, which has been talked about probably since you folks were on council here. But these folks here, they did their homework. So not only did they just come in and go, hey, maybe we'd like, to see some backyard chickens, they actually took the time to contact all of our neighboring cities. The ones that have backyard chickens got what their ordinances read, what are their restrictions. Actually put together a proposed sample ordinance, and that was what they presented to us last night. So, tip of the cap to that, that's, we had some discussion about that afterwards, and, kind of which was into our other main topic, which is our UDO, the new ordinance combination. So I guess give you the update of where the chickens piece is gonna go, and then we'll tie that in with the UDO. So, at our next, meeting, there was a few different pieces, not just, the backyard chickens, but there was a few different, items that came out of, the public meetings that were last week about the UDO. And so, we'd like to have some further discussion on those, and so we're gonna have that discussion at our next planning commission meeting, including, more discussion on, backyard chickens. Our ask last night was to ask staff to go back and research some more information. We had some questions, give them some information to go research on, and there was a few other topics too that we had asked about their accessory dwelling structures being another one, things like that. So that items that came up out of the UDO that we'd like to have further discussion on. So it's gonna be a full house at our next or full agenda at our next planning commission. So what then we'll do is we'll have discussion. That'll be our end of April meeting. Then we'll potentially be setting the public hearing for that would be in May. And so we wouldn't do a public hearing for let's say the backyards chickens got to that point where that'd be included in there. We wouldn't do a separate one just for that. We would do the public hearing for the entire UDO in the end of May. Including that and like the accessory dwelling structures, any of the other things. And potentially that could, council could be looking for that, probably, first or second meeting in June, maybe. If there's more feedback there that would need adjustment, that would just push that back a little bit. But, it's a self-imposed timeline. We wanna make sure we get it right rather than just try and rush it through, so. It'll get done when it's done. Yeah, that was main discussion. We had a lot of discussion last night, so.
Questions for Rick on planning commission? So just so people are aware, we hosted 10 hours of public, could come to Pebble Creek over 2 days, lunch and a evening one the first day, and the second day I think was like 11 to 6, or so maybe it was actually 11 hours. And we had 10 total people visit and give some input, so thanks to those people that came out and participated. All right, moving on to golf committee.
Golf committee, we met this morning. We went over our financials. Things are looking good with the meat raffle and the bingo that's going on. Has increased the revenue fair amount. Food and beverage is up from last year, which is a good thing. Rounds of golf we can't go by because we haven't had the days available like we did last year. But overall, we're doing good. We're doing good. Lower level improvements are going well, with the exception of the windows, which are still on order. They haven't shown up yet. But the locker rooms the floors are done, and they're going to be finishing them up within the next few days. Concert at the Creek, who decided to cancel it for this year. Josh is going to talk to the chambers so they know in case they want to do something with it. But for the amount of time, the shutdown that we got to do for it, he's come to the conclusion that it just isn't quite worth it for us to do it. And I personally have no issues with that. I don't know if anybody else does or not, but so the plan is not to do it this year. The only other things is there will be Easter brunch and Mother's Day brunch. as like there was last year. So for anybody that wants to go out for brunch on those days, it's available. And that's about it.
All right, any questions for Mike on golf committee?
You have to sign up for those brunches in advance, right?
Get reservations, yep.
All right. Thank you. PD City Hall project update, Mr. LaRude.
The ceiling grid is in most of the spaces, and along with that, the lighting is being installed at the same time. Sheet rock is 95% done, painting is 50% done. All exterior windows are now in. They've gotten quite a few doors in the last couple of days, interior doors, and the roof membrane is over the entire roof now, so it is waterproof. And we'll get a new master schedule this week. They were talking about flooring in 2 to 3 weeks, so that's what I would say would be kind of the end, and we'll schedule cleaning after that, and then furniture. So hopefully by the end of the month. I know I said that last month.
That's all right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. LaRude on the building project? All right, we'll move on to administrator and staff reports. Trunk Highway 25 Pell Study, letter of support, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight we have a request for a letter of support that would go to be part of the Trunk Highway 25 Pell Study. So for the public, a little brief background. In 2016, Highway 25 Coalition formed. It was made up of Becker, the cities of Becker, Big Lake, Monticello, and then Big Lake Township and Becker Township. They went through a number of transportation, looking at corridors, how does it impact things, and that's due to a lot of the traffic that you see in the area. It was even back then an issue, and so they saw that. From that group, a study was done by SRF, highlighted some alternatives. They came back and said, well, we missed a few things, we gotta come regroup. They recalibrated, formed the Central Mississippi River Partnership. It's actually CMRPB. And it's Central Mississippi River Regional Planning Partnership, which is a mouthful. It's become known as CMRP. That group went through a process of planning. It formed what's called Framework 2030. They hired a consultant to take them through it, identified 12 different key strategies, and was intended to be utilized as a planning tool for the whole region. So Wright County, Sherburne County, there were some townships that were added during that, Silver Creek and Monticello, some other various entities. Framework 2030 has a lot of good goals in it, but it wasn't focused on a transportation corridor, so the transportation kind of got lost in the shuffle. So out of this, they refocused their efforts, CMRP did, and in 2022, which pretty recent in the last few years, Sherburne and Wright County agreed to enter into a joint powers agreement to go through what's called the Pell process. The Pell process stands for Planning and Environmental Linkages, and the eventual goal of that process is to identify bridge crossing corridors or transportation corridors that would go over the Mississippi, or alternatives that can be carried forward into the National Environmental Protection Act process, or NEPA as it's called. NEPA has several tiers. Tier 1, which is a broader environmental analysis, and Tier 2, which is the more defined, definitive, detailed analysis of a corridor, with the ultimate goal of defining, getting approved through the federal process of a bridge crossing of the Mississippi. So the Pell study that has been worked on for the last probably year and a half, maybe a little bit longer, they've gone through a number of public open houses, a number of analysis, looking at roads. They've talked to a number of stakeholders, Sherco, a number of other ones, residents in different neighborhoods in Monticello. And based on, there's some alternatives that were identified that you can find in the packet. There were a number of them. Out of those, 4 are being carried forward, or recommended to be carried forward. Those 4 include a no-build scenario. You have to include that as part of this because you need a baseline to compare something to. So what happens if you don't do anything, which we kind of already see what's occurring. B3, which you'll see in your packet, which is what's called a one-way pair. That would be in Monticello, and that would actually convert, what's the street up from Highway 25? I think it's not Fenning. I'm gonna look it up. So it would convert Highway 25, one-way pair. It would do Cedar Street in Monticello, So you'd end up with two big corridors of 3 lanes in Monticello, kind of adjacent blocks. So the one that's currently 25 and then over to the east, which is another road. They would converge, there would be some lights, and then you would expand County Road 11 to 4 lanes. That's what B3 is. D3 and D2 are the other ones that were carried forward, and you can see in the map that those are on the east or the west side of County Road 11. So one actually kind of bisects a little bit further to the west and comes up through Sherburne Avenue, south there, kind of by Vonco, and then through where I think that's already off its land there, and some of the solar fields. One caveat I should make to the public, this doesn't mean that these are built in this format or that they're coming to be built right away. This is really purely studying which alternatives fit environmental, housing, which had lower impacts on some of the housing, on individuals, after a big analysis, and this carries forward into further analysis pieces. And then D2, the alternative goes through the nuclear plant, south of the nuclear plant, southeast, in Monticello, and then connects eventually at County Road 11 and Highway 10. So those are the alternatives that will get carried forward. The letter of support that we have for you tonight, and I've been involved and at the TAC meetings. I know the city administrator, former mayor, and Mayor Kolbinger were all involved in that. I know Councilman Hendrickson has been involved, and so it's been a fairly long process, rigorous, of going through these. The letter of support would carry these, or would give your support to carry B3, D2, and D3, and the no build forward into the Tier 1 process. So with that, we're seeking for a motion and a second to approve the letter of support that's attached in the packet. A couple of additional items for the public. We did post a brief update a couple weeks ago, I think, or a week or so ago, and we'll post a more robust one once the actual Pell study has been formally brought and adopted. That'll be on there. There's a website also for the public that you can link to in the packet that you can go and see a lot of the details about what was done on this subject. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
All right. Any questions for Jacob on the Trunk Highway 25 Pell study? If not, we're looking for a motion to approve that letter of support.
I'd like a motion to approve the letter of support for the Trunk Highway 25 Pell study.
I'll second.
You have a motion by Rick, second by Robin. Is there any discussion?
Well, I personally don't like any of those options that they come up with. To me, all it is moving congestion around a different way. So I'm not opposed to this going forward, but I can't vote for it.
This would push potentially one of these forward though, so I guess would you?
I'm gonna vote no on it myself, just so you know.
Okay.
I don't think it takes care of the traffic issues that we'll have.
And again, then to your point there, this will carry further into more analysis. One of the things also that's talked about in the study that you can read is the freight traffic. And that is one of the things that the D2 and D3 do get out of, if those move forward, out of downtown Monticello, which do cause quite a bit of congestion that are going to Northern Metals, Sherco, and other industrial places. So that D2 alternative, or even D3, gets those out of the downtown Monticello area.
Well, the one that goes by the power plant, they don't even know if they can do that, do they?
No, they've had a number of conversations with Excel on this particular, and they've been
By the federal government.
they've been supportive of that. Now, the federal, that's the NEPA process. That's what you're getting into now, is the Tier 1 analysis, and those other which are the federal piece that they'll analyze a lot of those impacts. So this will get further flushed out as it moves forward.
Yeah, I still think it's bad design. Yeah, so, do as we want.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed say no.
Nope.
All right, motion carries 3-1. Moving on to 8B, we have the Together Reaching Area Kids, the track group support.
Mayor Colbinger, City Council members, Dale Christensen and Chantel Boyer were at our February 18th council meeting to provide information about the track program, which is Together Reaching Area Kids. And at that meeting, they requested a resolution of support from the city council, and at this point, I'll turn it over to Mayor Colbinger.
Sure. So I think everybody's familiar with what track is, and they were here. So they have determined what the logo is gonna look like, but it had to be redesigned for some colors, so I don't have one to share with you tonight. But the group voted on it. We met, before the last city council meeting. So once that's done, then they're gonna start engaging with cities, local government, and businesses to put the logo up and to start planning specific activities. So the letter of support, or the resolution tonight, just says that we support moving forward. There's no cost with it or anything like that.
Right.
So I missed that, particular meeting. Sorry, has track, did that, pause for a while, or, and it's kinda getting reinvigorated now? Is that the?
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Well, I got the impression they were taking a new approach.
Yeah. So in the past, it's been kind of just school directed, and now they're trying to branch out and include more people. And yeah, it didn't meet, I mean, in the last couple of years a lot, and then the last year has been a new approach, like Mike said, kind of reinvigorated. So I think we'll see some tangible action steps happening rather than just have a group that is there.
Is that something we, I mean, it's one thing to issue a resolution of support, but they probably would be looking for, at a minimum, is somebody from the city to attend their meetings and be, you know, to bring that information back and be involved. Is that something we'd, look to do at some point when they start getting, we can maybe appoint a member to?
Yeah, I have been attending. Mayor Bertram attended before me. So I just kind of took that over and have been attending, but if someone else wanted to. We have had representatives from the police department that have been attending for quite some time. I don't know if there's been any other, I don't think any other city departments, but,
Yeah, I
so
know
we
Mayor
have, yeah, we've been doing it. I think someone from the city's been involved for quite some time. Right, does anybody wanna?
I make a motion, we approve the resolution, was it 25, 26?
Yep.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Mike, a second by Robin. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. And that carries. Now we're on to the consent agenda. Mr. LaRue again.
Mayor Colbinger, City Council members, items for approval on tonight's consent agenda include the revised hiring and termination report, an agreement for a farm lease agreement with Kasowski Group, and the annual Community Development Code Enforcement Report. And I'll be happy to stand for questions.
Anybody have any questions on the consent agenda? If not, we would look for a motion to move approval.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Rick. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. Consent agenda is approved. Gotta pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay those bills.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Robin, second by Rick to pay the bills. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. The bills are paid. We have a couple anniversary announcements. Paul Hickerson, Officer Hickerson's been with the police department for 10 years. Congratulations, thank you for your service. Golf maintenance, Curtis Bursch has been there for 9 years. And at the community center, Tiffany Bennett for 7 years. So thank you to all those employees for your continued contributions to the city. Anybody have anything else to bring before the council? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Robin, seconded by Mike. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 5:25. Let's try to make it easy for you.
Brings you back, right?